Bio-Luminescent Blues. Within Ethelberg's Lumenveins district, where the city's most vital light harvesting operations were centered, lived Kale. He was a lumen engineer. His hands, strong and calloused, possessed a remarkable sensitivity to the subtle shifts in the bioluminescent spectrum. His workshop, a cavernous space carved into the luminous rock itself, was a mesmerizing symphony of muted glows. Specialized conduits, shimmering with concentrated light, crisscrossed the ceiling like glowing veins. Intricate arrays of light filters hummed softly. They separated hues for various city functions. These ranged from powering transport systems to illuminating residential zones. Kale's tools were extensions of his own body. Long, slender light probes pulsed with diagnostic energy. Bioanalyzers hummed against his ear. They translated the living light into comprehensible data. He often wore a simple, dark tunic of woven algae fibers. Its material absorbed stray light. This allowed the myriad glows around him to truly stand out. Kale possessed an innate, almost spiritual connection to the glow flora. He could discern the subtle nuances in their light. He could differentiate the healthy, vibrant pulse from the faint, sickly flicker. Other engineers used precise measurements. Kale used intuition. He had a deep understanding of the delicate balance that sustained Ethelberg. He spent his days tending to the massive glow gardens. These were vast hydroponic farms. Towering kelp-like organisms pulsed with verdant light. Delicate, crystalline fungi bloomed with soft, violet hues. He nurtured the light. He understood its rhythms. He understood its needs. His personal companion, a small, multifaceted optical drone named Luma, floated silently beside him. Its single, large lens shimmered. It captured and processed light patterns. Often, it projected them for Kale's analysis. Luma's faint, silvery hum was a constant, comforting presence. Lately, however, a disquieting change had begun to subtly spread through Ethelberg. It was a phenomenon the governing iridescence authority vaguely termed the dimming. It was a slow, almost imperceptible decline in the vibrancy of the bioluminescence. Public pronouncements from the authority assured citizens that this was a natural cycle. A mere ebb in the glow flux. Nothing to worry about. But Kale knew better. His touch on the glow kelp felt a deeper chill. His instruments registered an unsettling anomaly. He first noticed it in the residential sectors. The faint, almost melancholic shift of the blue-green algae was undeniable. Then, the amber fungi in the transport hubs seemed duller. Their once vibrant pathways now appeared merely muted. The very air seemed to hold less light. The grand domes, once radiating with dazzling effulgence, now appeared subtly veiled. Kale's bioanalyzers, usually a source of reassuring data, now often presented erratic patterns. They showed a peculiar, rhythmic fluctuation in the light's energetic signature. Not a uniform decay, but a structured withdrawal. It was like a slow, deliberate breath being drawn from the city's luminous lungs. He brought his findings to his immediate superior, a gruff but well-meaning supervisor named Thornley. Thornley listened patiently. He stroked his wispy white beard. The authority has issued directives, Kale. Conserve. Reroute. It's a natural cycle, boy. Don't go looking for shadows where there's just less light. His voice, usually firm, carried a hint of weary resignation. He dismissed Kale's concerns with a wave of his hand. The official narrative was absolute. It was the only truth allowed. But Kale's instinct screamed. His unique sensitivity to the light resonated with a deep unease. He felt the very spirit of Ethelberg whispering of distress. He found himself spending his off hours deep within the glow gardens. He meticulously examined individual light organisms. He scanned for signs of disease or stress. He found none. Only a peculiar emptiness, as if the light was simply leaving. It was a silent, draining sadness he felt from the flora itself. The authorities' unseen hand. The iridescent authority governed Ethelberg with an iron grip. It was cloaked in a veneer of serene competence. Their headquarters, the towering lumen spire, dominated the city's core. It was a massive, crystalline structure that seemed to drink light from the entire city. It radiated an almost blinding, pure white glow. This felt artificial and cold compared to the softer, organic hues of the rest of Ethelberg. Its sleek, unadorned surfaces reflected nothing. They absorbed all light into its own austere brilliance. The air within its walls was always perfectly conditioned. It smelled faintly of manufactured cleanliness. It was a place of chilling, absolute order. At its head was Director Thane. He was a figure of absolute control. His movements were precise. They were economical. His face was a mask of smooth, almost polished composure. His dark, tailored robes, woven with light-absorbing filaments, seemed to draw in the very luminescence of the chamber around him. This made him appear as a stark, shadow-like silhouette against the spire's brilliant walls. His voice, a low, modulated hum, rarely betrayed emotion. Thane championed absolute order. Absolute efficiency. He believed Ethelberg's future depended on the careful, centralized management of all its resources, especially the precious light. He saw himself as the city's savior, guiding it towards a perfect, predictable future. Thane's public appearances were flawless. He delivered calm, reassuring speeches about the dimming. He emphasized the need for collective discipline. For conservation. His words were always logical. They were persuasive. They were designed to soothe any rising anxieties. But Cale felt a profound disconnect. The dimming was growing more pronounced. The once vibrant residential sectors now felt noticeably dimmer. The faces of citizens, usually serene, showed subtle lines of concern, often hidden behind forced smiles. The air grew heavier. It grew colder. A low, almost imperceptible anxiety began to permeate the city. It was like a silent hum of worry beneath the surface calm. Cale's independent investigations continued in secret. He installed hidden resonance emitters in various sectors. These tiny devices would record the subtle energetic signatures of the glow flora. His data consistently showed not a natural decay, but a rhythmic pattern of extraction. It was a siphoning. It was precise and controlled. It emanated directly from the lumen spire. The signature matched no known natural alchemical or biological process. It was undeniably artificial. It was a deliberate act. It was a theft of the city's very essence. He attempted to present his findings to the authority through official channels. He submitted detailed reports filled with complex spectral analyses and energy flow diagrams. Each time, his reports were returned with polite but firm rejection. Anomalies in sensor readings, the automated responses would state. Recalibration recommended. Or, more chillingly, compliance with established protocols advised. The subtle warnings grew more pointed. A supervisor he had once respected was quietly reassigned to a remote, damp core maintenance station. Cale felt eyes on him. The soft, pervasive hum of the city began to feel less like life and more like surveillance, a constant, unseen scrutiny. Luma, his drone, would occasionally emit a faint, warning flicker when unseen authority drones passed close by, their own light-absorbing surfaces making them almost invisible. Whispers of the forgotten light. Cale knew he could not push through official channels. The authority was a monolithic entity. Its control was absolute. He needed answers from outside the official narrative. He needed forbidden knowledge. His thoughts turned to Elder Maeve. She was a recluse. She was a keeper of forgotten lore. She was rumored to live in the deepest, most unregulated parts of the sublevels. These were the ancient, unstable caverns beneath Ethelberg. They predated the grand domes and the authorities' meticulous control. They were dark. They were dangerous. They were filled with forgotten machinery and wild, untamed bioluminescence that had resisted all attempts at cultivation. Maeve was an outcast. She had once been a prominent lumen scholar. But her dissenting views on the authorities' absolute control of the light had led to her quiet banishment. She was rumored to possess ancient texts, to understand the true origins of Ethelberg's light, to whisper of things the authority had deliberately suppressed. She was a living archive of forbidden truths. Cale prepared for his journey. He packed a compact lumen kit. It contained portable energy cells, high-spectrum light probes, a specialized damp suit to protect against the raw, unconditioned air of the sublevels. Luma hovered beside him, its lens already adjusting to the lower light conditions. The descent was jarring. The gleaming, polished pathways of Ethelberg gave way to rough, uneven tunnels carved directly from the glowing rock. The air grew colder. It grew heavier. It smelled strongly of minerals and raw, untamed earth. The light grew dimmer, more sporadic. It relied on wild, uncultivated glowmoss that clung to the cavern walls. The silence was broken only by the drip of water and the distant scuttling of unseen creatures. He found Maeve in a vast, echoing chamber. It was illuminated by a single, ancient, wildly beautiful glow tree. Its branches wept strands of incandescent light. These shifted through every color of the spectrum. Maeve herself was frail. Her skin was pale. But her eyes, deep-set and luminous, held a fierce intelligence. Her simple, homespun robes, woven from natural fibers, seemed to absorb the tree's light. This made her appear as a living shadow. Around her were stacks of ancient, glowing data slates and intricately bound biological texts. Their covers were soft with age. The air here was pure. It smelled of deep earth and primal light. "You feel it, don't you, Cale?" Maeve's voice was a dry whisper. Yet it resonated with an ancient power. The city's soul slowly being drained. Cale presented his data. The undeniable proof of the siphoning. Maeve examined the readouts, her luminous eyes tracing the patterns. "They call it the dimming. A clever lie." She pointed to a faded diagram on a holographic slate. "The glow flora isn't just flora, Cale. It's an extension of the Great Heart. This is the primordial luminous organism that settled within this geode eons ago. It is the very lifeblood of Ethelberg. It is a sentient light. It is capable of communication, of growth, of joy. It is the city's true soul." Ethelberg, she explained, was not merely built in a geode. It was built around the Great Heart. This was an enormous, pulsating core of living light at the city's true center, deep beneath the lumen spire. The glow flora that permeated the city were merely tendrils of this colossal organism. The original inhabitants, the luminary elders, had lived in symbiotic harmony with the Great Heart. They revered its light. They took only what was necessary. They always gave back. Their lives were a dance of respect and balance. The iridescence authority, Maeve continued. Her voice grew stronger. They are not guardians of the light. They are its enslavers. Director Thane, he believes he can master the Great Heart. He is not just siphoning energy. He is trying to condense its very essence into a pure form of light for ultimate control. He calls it the Lumen Purity Project. Maeve showed Cale ancient schematics. They detailed how Thane's predecessors had discovered the Great Heart's true nature. How, over generations, the authority had slowly built the lumen spire directly over it. They transformed it into a massive, artificial siphon. The dimming was not a natural cycle. It was the great heart slowly dying. Its vast consciousness was being bled away. Its vibrant spectrum was being bleached into the cold, pure white favored by the lumen spire. Thane believed he was perfecting the light. He thought he was making it eternal. Controllable. In reality, he was extinguishing its very soul. He was turning a living, breathing entity into a sterile power source. Thane isn't just seeking power, Kale, Maeve said. Her luminous eyes fixed on him. He seeks absolute control over Ethelberg's very consciousness. He believes that by controlling the purest form of the Great Heart's light, he can eliminate all discord, all unpredictability, all true emotion from the city. He wants Ethelberg to be eternally, perfectly serene, perfectly subservient. A beautiful, silent tune. The chilling revelation solidified Kale's resolve. This was not just about dimming lights. It was about the slow murder of Ethelberg's soul. He had to stop Thane. He had to unleash the true light. The spark of rebellion. Kale emerged from the sublevels with a new sense of purpose. His mind was reeling but clear. The city's muted glow now felt like a prison. Its controlled tranquility was a horrifying lie. He needed help. The authorities' grip was too tight for a single Lumen engineer. He sought out Jax. Jax was a resourceful, independent tech smuggler operating out of the bustling, unregulated market district known as the Glimmer Coves. Jax was known for acquiring anything, from rare minerals to black market bioluminescent components. He was fast-witted. His fingers were as quick with a data jack as they were with an energy siphon. Jax had a lean build. He had perpetually nervous eyes. He had a habit of speaking in rapid-fire bursts. But his loyalty, once earned, was absolute. He wore patched, brightly colored light-weave clothing. It was a defiant splash of chaos against the authorities' muted palette. The Glimmer Coves themselves were a riot of sound and smell. The clatter of illicit trades. The sharp tang of raw chemicals. The vibrant, unregulated glows of black market biolumina. You want to do what? Jax whispered. His eyes were wide as Kale explained the truth about the dimming and Thane's lumen purity project. They met in a dimly lit, echoing chamber beneath a bustling bioluminescent market. The sounds of bartering and distant light pulses were muffled by the thick rock walls. You want to reignite the Great Heart? That's madness, Kale. The authority will flay you. They'll turn you into a light-absorbing shadow. They're already killing the city, Jax, Kale retorted. His voice was low and urgent. Slowly, painfully. They're turning Ethelberg into a tomb. A beautiful, empty one. Jax looked at Kale. Then at Luma, hovering silently. He saw the grim determination in Kale's eyes. He knew Kale was not just chasing a theory. He was fighting for a fundamental truth. All right, Kale. What do you need? Just tell me the impossible, and I'll find it. Kale outlined his plan. He intended to build a resonance amplifier. This was a device capable of broadcasting a counterfrequency. It would disrupt Thane's siphoning. It would overload the lumen purity system. Crucially, it would reawaken the Great Heart. This would require rare components. Powerful energy conduits. A highly unstable, raw form of bioluminescent catalyst known only as sunsap. This was rumored to exist only in the most volatile, untamed bioluminescent pools deep within the sublevels. These pools were too dangerous for even the authority to harvest. Jax proved invaluable. He used his network of contacts in the Glimmer Coves to acquire the necessary rare metals and specialized microfabricators. All discreetly. Under the authorities' pervasive surveillance. He provided access codes to forgotten utility tunnels leading deeper into the Lumen Spire's foundations. He even managed to procure a prototype authority light dampener. Kale meticulously re-engineered it into a directional pulsimeter. Jax moved like a phantom, his brightly colored clothes a blur in the dim alleys. The search for the sun sap was the most perilous. Kale and Jax ventured into the deepest, most unstable caverns of the sublevels. The wild bioluminescence here was chaotic. It was beautiful. It was dangerous. Walls pulsed with a primal, untamed energy. Strange, luminous creatures, adapted to the raw light, darted through the shadows. The air was thick with unfiltered minerals. This made every breath a burning sensation. They navigated treacherous, narrow passages. Their way was illuminated only by Kale's portable lumen scanner and Luma's faint, silvery beam. The ground was uneven. It was slick with unknown organic matter. They found the sun sap in a hidden grotto. It was a pool of pure, liquid light. It was so vibrant it almost hurt Kale's eyes. It pulsed with a profound, living energy. It was a raw, unadulterated essence of the great heart. Harvesting it was precarious. The sap was highly volatile. It reacted violently to artificial light or unstable energy fields. Kale had to use ancient, almost meditative techniques taught by Maeve. He carefully coaxed the sap into shielded containment cells using only naturally absorbed light. He could feel its immense power. Its raw life force resonated with his own. It was like holding a piece of the sun. Back in Kale's workshop, they worked in secret. The Lumina resonance amplifier took shape. It was a complex symphony of intricate clockwork mechanisms. Glowing conduits. A central chamber where the sun sap would be housed. The device hummed with suppressed power. Its delicate gears ticking a steady, defiant rhythm against the pervasive silence of the dimming. Kale meticulously calibrated the amplifier. He tuned it to the specific resonant frequency of the Great Heart, as revealed in Maeve's ancient texts. Elias, though not directly involved in the final preparations, quietly provided cover. He diverted minor security patrols. He supplied obscure technical data. He was a silent, steadfast ally. Infiltration of the Lumen Spire. The Lumen Spire stood at the heart of Ethelberg. It was a beacon of cold, artificial brilliance. Its pure white glow, usually a symbol of the authorities' unyielding control, now seemed sterile, almost sickly, against the backdrop of the city's increasingly muted hues. On the night of their infiltration, a rare celestial alignment caused the city's external domes to shimmer with faint, otherworldly reflections. It was a cosmic echo of the natural light Thane sought to suppress. Kale and Jax, disguised as authority maintenance technicians, moved through the spire's inner layers. The air here was perfectly conditioned. It was devoid of any natural scent. It carried only the faint, metallic tang of purified air. Automated sentinels, sleek and silent, glided along crystalline corridors. Their optical sensors swept for anomalies. The walls were smooth, seamless crystal. They reflected their own sterile glow endlessly. Every step seemed to echo the pervasive, artificial quiet. Their path led them through vast, automated light refinement chambers. Immense light collectors absorbed the city's ambient glow. They funneled it towards the spire's core. Kale felt the drain acutely here. It was a cold, sucking sensation that left him lightheaded. Luma, tucked into a concealed pouch on Kale's belt, occasionally vibrated with faint distress. Its internal diagnostics registered the unnatural energy pull. They used Jax's stolen access codes. They bypassed layers of security. They slipped through rarely used service conduits and maintenance shafts. The deeper they went, the colder and more oppressive the atmosphere became. The air grew thick with a subtle, cloying scent of highly refined biolumina. It was a concentrated essence that made Kale's skin tingle. It felt like a subtle poison. They finally reached the lowest level. This was the heart of the lumen spire. This was the iridescence core. It was a massive, cylindrical chamber carved directly into the bedrock. It was illuminated by a single, immense, pulsing orb of pure, blinding white light. This was Thane's lumen purity engine. It was a colossal machine built around a very point where the great heart resonated most strongly. From this orb, unseen conduits branched out. They siphoned the light. They stripped it of its organic vibrancy. They processed it into Thane's pure form. The hum of the engine was deafening here. It vibrated through Kale's bones. Suddenly, the hum of the core grew louder. More insistent. From a hidden alcove, Director Thane emerged. He was flanked by two formidable authority enforcers. Their armored suits gleamed with a stark, cold light. Thane's face was impassive. But his eyes, illuminated by the blinding light of the core, held a dangerous gleam. I anticipated your foolishness, Lumen Engineer. Thane's voice was a low, chilling hum. It was perfectly modulated. It was devoid of anger. It was full of cold certainty. Your anomalies were noted. Your desperate inquiries. Such predictable defiance. He held a slender, crystal-tipped wand. Its tip pulsed with the same cold, white light as the core. You're killing Ethelberg, Thane. Kale retorted. His voice was raw with emotion. You're bleeding the great heart dry. You're turning it into a lifeless battery. Thane chuckled. It was a dry, intellectual sound. Killing. No, Kale. I am perfecting. I am extracting the raw, chaotic energy and refining it into true, controlled light. No more fluctuations. No more unpredictable emotions from the populace. Pure, stable light. Pure, stable governance. Ethelberg will be a beacon of eternal serenity. He believed his vision was salvation. He saw beauty in the controlled, sterile light he was creating. A perfect, predictable future. Climax, the resurgence of light. Thane gestured with his wand. The two authority enforcers advanced. Their movements were synchronized. Efficient. Their suits seemed to absorb the ambient light. This made them appear as menacing silhouettes. Jax! Cover me! Kale yelled. He was already moving. Jax, quick as thought, activated a series of rapid-fire light bursts from his re-engineered dampener. It momentarily dazzled the enforcers. He was a whirlwind of motion. He drew their fire. He created precious seconds of distraction. The air crackled with energy. Kale sprinted towards the lumen purity engine. The resonance amplifier was clutched tightly in his hands. The massive orb of white light hummed. Its power was oppressive. He could feel the great heart. A faint, desperate thrumming beneath Thane's artificial siphon. It was a plea for release. Thane moved with surprising speed. He intercepted Kale. He lashed out with his crystal wand. A beam of concentrated light lanced towards Kale. Kale twisted. The beam seared past his arm. It left a trail of smoking fabric. He felt a sudden, sharp pain. A localized area of profound darkness where the light had struck him. It was a precise, painful dampening. His bio-neural interfaces screamed. You cannot fight perfection, Kale, Thane intoned. His face was devoid of emotion. The great heart is a wild, untamed thing. It needs a master. I am its master. And you are merely a primitive conduit. Kale gritted his teeth. He ignored the pain. He saw Jack struggling against the enforcers. His light bursts were weakening. Time was running out. With a desperate surge of adrenaline, Kale plunged the resonance amplifier onto a crucial access port on the lumen purity engine. It was a direct conduit to the siphoned energy. He slammed his palm onto the activation plate. The amplifier hummed. Then it screamed. A blinding flash erupted from Kale's device. A wave of pure, untamed light, drawn from the sun sap and amplified by Kale's desperate will, surged through the lumen purity engine. It was a chaotic, vibrant pulse of raw, living luminescence. It overloaded Thane's cold, sterile system. The lumen purity engine shrieked. Its vast, crystal components fractured. Spiderweb cracks spread across its brilliant surface. The core orb of white light flickered wildly. Then pulsed with a terrifying, vibrant kaleidoscope of colors, all the hues Thane had sought to suppress, now unbound and exploding outwards. The entire chamber filled with a blinding, beautiful storm of uncontrolled light. Director Thane staggered. His crystal wand shattered in his hand. The unbridled light surged around him. It overwhelmed his light-absorbing robes. His cold composure broke. His face twisted. No longer impassive, but contorted in a mask of pure, existential terror. The raw, untamed essence of the great heart, no longer controlled, flooded into him. He screamed. It was a raw, primal sound unlike his usual modulation. A shriek of raw, unadulterated fear and pain. The pure light he had sought to command now consumed him. It overwhelmed his very being. It unraveled his essence. He collapsed. He was a figure utterly broken by the very power he had sought to control. His body seemed to dissolve into pure light, then wink out of existence. Across Ethelberg, the effects were immediate and spectacular. The oppressive silence of the dimming shattered. The air vibrated. The city's pervasive dullness vanished. It was replaced by a sudden, breathtaking explosion of vibrant, unconstrained light. The glow gardens, long muted, blazed forth with an intensity never before seen. Their colors were richer, deeper, pulsing with a joyous, untamed energy. The architectural structures, once merely luminous, now seemed to breathe and pulse with their own inner light. Citizens, who had moved with weary resignation, stopped. They looked up. Their faces transformed. Their eyes widened with shock. Then confusion. Then a kaleidoscope of raw, uncontrollable emotion. Some fell to their knees, weeping tears of pure, overwhelming joy as decades of suppressed emotion washed over them. Others burst into spontaneous, uncontrollable laughter. Their voices echoed through the newly vibrant air. The quiet hum of the city swelled into a symphony of living light. It was a chaotic, beautiful explosion of life reasserting itself. The scent of ozone from overloaded systems mingled with the deep, clean aroma of activated glowflora. It was a smell of renewal. Of freedom. A new dawn in Ethelberg. Kale collapsed, gasping for breath. The resonance amplifier was smoking and inert beside him. The pain from Thane's dampening was immense. But it was interwoven with a profound, overwhelming sense of awe and exhilaration. He could feel it, the city awakening. The air thrummed with a million nascent emotions. A chaotic, glorious chorus of humanity finally unleashed. Jax, bruised but grinning, rushed to his side. "You did it," he cried. His voice was hoarse with awe. "The spire, it's glowing like a mad lantern. It's beautiful." He gestured towards the colossal lumen spire. Its white crystal was now fractured. It pulsed with vibrant, uncontrolled light that defied its former sterility. Luma, its sapphire lens glowing brightly once more, gently nudged Kale's cheek. Its soft hum was a sound of profound relief. The authority enforcers, cut off from Thane's mental control and overwhelmed by the raw surge of light, stumbled. Their suits flickered erratically. Their expressions filled with a sudden, dawning terror as the true nature of their former master and the power he wielded was violently revealed. Some stood frozen. Others fled. Their rigid discipline shattered. The hum of their systems died. It was replaced by the raw, unpredictable sounds of a city in emotional upheaval. Word of Director Thane's fall and the Great Heart's reawakening spread through Ethelberg like wildfire. The initial chaos of the awakening gave way to an exhilarating wave of realization. The truth about the Lumen Purity Project. About Thane's siphoning. It was broadcast across all public light displays by Jax, using his newly acquired access. The illusion of sterile peace shattered. Elder Maeve emerged from the sublevels. She was guided by the immense surge of living light. Her eyes, filled with tears, looked upon the vibrant, chaotic city. "The heart sings again," she whispered. Her voice was filled with ancient wisdom and deep reverence. "The true light has returned." Ethelberg was not perfectly healed overnight. Decades of suppressed light and emotion had left their mark. Many of the city's sophisticated light systems, designed for Thane's controlled light, would need careful recalibration. The citizens, unaccustomed to such raw, unbridled feelings, would need to relearn the beautiful, messy art of truly living. There would be confusion. There would be discord. There would be the difficult process of rebuilding trust and establishing a genuine, unmanipulated society. But the light of the Great Heart now pulsed through the city. It was untamed and vibrant. The air smelled clean. It was alive with the tang of fresh, unburdened power. The gentle hum of Ethelberg was now a symphony of living light. It was a chaotic, beautiful explosion of life reasserting itself. Kale, the Lumen engineer, was hailed not as a hero, but as a guardian of the true light. His workshop in the Lumen Veins district became a hub of open discovery. It was a place where citizens came not just for repairs, but to learn about the nature of the Great Heart. To understand their own connection to the living light. Jax, still a smuggler at heart, used his skills to connect the disparate sectors of the newly awakened city. He ensured resources flowed freely. Elder Maeve became a revered guide. She shared the ancient lore. She helped the people understand the meaning of their newfound freedom. The future of Ethelberg was no longer predetermined. It was a blank slate. It waited for its people to fill it with their own hopes. Their own conflicts. Their own genuine, powerful emotions. Kale knew his work had just begun. Ethelberg, once a gilded cage of artificial light, was now a city free to choose its own destiny. One shimmering pathway. One vibrant glow garden. One genuine, complex feeling at a time. The living light pulsed anew. It was a promise of a future forged by its own hand.